All right, what's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's Unlocking Greatness session. Video series, web series, masterclass series, whatever you want to call it. Whatever is good for you is good for me. All I know is this week we are talking about the art of committing to and achieving your dreams. Goals too, but I want to get bigger. I want to talk about something even bigger than our goals, and those are our dreams. But we'll interchange some of those words as we get going. If you are here, say what's up, drop a comment on whatever platform you are watching this on right now. We would love to see that you are tuning in. With that said, we are going to dig right into the art of committing to and achieving our dreams. Thank you guys so much for joining this Unlocking Greatness session. I am pumped. I am fired up. So let's get after it. So today I want to talk about the importance of commitment. Commitment. You know, when it comes to a goal or a dream, it's easy to have them. We all have them. I mean, there is not a single person on this planet, I'm going to assume, that doesn't have some goal or some dream, something that they want in their life that they don't have, a state of being, a practical, tangible object, a relationship, a career, a company, something. There is something that we are all after. It looks different for every single one of us, but there is something that we are all after. We all have a dream. We all have a goal. It's easy to have those. They're automatic. But what is not automatic is our willingness to commit to achieving that dream, to commit to achieving that goal. Now you may be saying to yourself already, Ryan, I'm committed. I want my dream. I want that thing. I want that person. I want that season of life. But there's a big difference between wanting something and committing to something. And there's a big difference between committing to something and really committing to something. And we'll talk about that in a little bit and how we can do that better. Commitment is crucial to achieving the things that we want the most. It's absolutely critical. So let's get after it. So 3 things I want to talk about today. The first one is strategies for goal setting. I want to talk about the importance of the right strategy around the goals that you set to achieve the dreams you desire. 2, I want to talk about tips, ways to stay committed to the pursuit of your dreams, to the pursuit of your goals. And number 3, I want to help equip you with methods for overcoming setbacks that will happen. I don't know of a single person that's ever accomplished or achieved anything great in this life that has not been derailed, has not been pushed back, has not had to hit pause in the process. It's just the reality. The ignorance is in people that don't think it's going to happen to them. Then they get hit with it and they don't know what to do about it. So those 3 things are what we're going to talk about today. Let's dive right in to number 1. The first thing is strategies for goal setting. There are a whole lot of different ways in which we can set goals, but I believe, and this has been an ever evolving and growing process for me as a coach, for my clients, but also for myself. There has been this ever evolving process, and I've finally come to this place where I believe the best way to set goals is to set goals following this acronym. If you've seen any of our other videos in the series, you've heard about this before, but I am reiterating this again because I'm committed to helping you get committed to achieving your goals. And sometimes it takes repetition for stuff to really get stuck in our head. So the best way I believe to set goals is to set goals that are aligned to who you are and what you're all about. And as a reminder, for those that have heard this before, or as the introduction to this concept for the first time, I want to work through that acronym of what it means to set aligned goals. First, attainable goals. You want to set goals that are realistic and that are achievable. Now, if you're dreaming something crazy, something just totally out of hand, that you want to be the new quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, there's a really, really slim chance that that's a real dream that you should be pursuing. So you want to make sure that you're not setting these outlandish goals. And you may say to yourself, okay, I get that. Like I'm not trying to get that crazy. But for me, my dream is right now I'm making $3,600 a month, and my dream is to make $50K a month. And so that's what I'm going to pursue. I'm going to set goals to achieve that dream of $50K a month. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're trying to do that in a 12-month period, you're out of your mind. I mean, there's a slim chance that that could happen, but that is not a realistic goal to set. You want to set goals that are attainable. You have to consider your resources. You have to consider your time, the time available to you. You want to challenge yourself, but you want to remain inside the sphere of logic. You want to ensure that you are setting goals that are realistically and logically within reach. A, aligned. L, logical. I just used this word, but I'm going to say it again. Your goals should make sense to your life and your career path. Don't set some ridiculous, outlandish goal that's going to totally blow up your life as you know it, especially if you love your life as you know it, or you really like it. I see a lot of business professionals, entrepreneurs specifically, set these crazy business goals because they have these big dreams about what they can accomplish. And yet it ends up wrecking their family. And I will ask them, like, I thought you said that your family was so valuable to you. Why do you continue to sacrifice them in pursuit of this goal? Well, I'm not. It's like, yes, you are. They haven't even thought because they've gotten too dreamy and illogical. So you want to set logical goals. Goals that support other goals, goals that live up to and lead up to these dreams that you have. Make them make sense. I, inspired. What does that mean? Choose goals that you can get excited about, that you're passionate about, and that you are in love with. Because every meaningful goal, every big dream is going to get really freaking hard at some point. And if you aren't in it completely, you are going to pull the ripcord and be out of it. And I see this happen far too often. We set a goal is set for us by somebody else, and we're just not in it. And we typically don't achieve it. It's just a total waste of time. It sounds good on the surface, but it's not something we're really into. Quit wasting your time setting goals that don't really matter to you. Set goals that are inspired by you. All right. A, L, I, G. Aligned goals. Aligned includes a G. G is genuine. Ensure that every single one of your goals truly reflects you, your interests, your values, your desires, your lifestyle, your beliefs. You want goals to be an authentic representation of you. That's why when we're setting goals, we should set goals that are genuine. N ends up next, if you're following along, necessary. The goals you set, and again, we're talking about commitment here, right? So we're thinking about this idea of needing to be all in to win, which means we should set goals that are necessary, goals that serve a real need or close a real gap. More often than not, when we set financial goals, we're setting financial goals because they sound good. But we really don't need anywhere near that goal to live the life that we actually desire, if we've taken the time to understand what life we actually desire. And so we set these big monster goals. We don't really need to. We fall short. We get discouraged. We look bad to other people, all for the sake of looking a certain way, when in reality, it makes us look the opposite. Why not set goals that make more sense? Things that you actually need to accomplish. That will help you to stay far more committed to them. as you endure the process of trying to achieve them. E, ethical. Goals should always align with moral values. You should never, ever, ever put yourself in a position where you need to compromise your values in order to pursue or achieve a goal or a dream. I do not personally believe, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, as a matter of fact, that God would never put a dream into your head that would cause you to compromise your integrity or your morality or your witness to him if you are a Christian. And so don't ever put yourself in a place where you're having to compromise your values and become unethical and just say, well, it's for the greater good. It's not. That's not the way we play. And finally, D, deadline driven. If we're going to set aligned goals, which I believe are the best goals to help us stay committed, then we should set goals with times associated with them. I set a goal and I'm going to achieve it by when? We should always include that. In every single goal we set, I am going to achieve this by a certain date. And a quick little tip or hack here, if you have an annual goal, break it down into quarterly, monthly, and even weekly, possibly even daily goals to help you stay on track. If you are accomplishing the things that you need to accomplish on a day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, quarter in, quarter out basis, you have a far greater chance of creating and maintaining the momentum necessary to achieve the goal. That is commitment. So again, strategies for goal setting. I say set aligned goals, follow that acronym. This is a great time of year to do that and get after it. 2, tips for staying committed to the goals. Now, I've already said that if you set aligned goals, that gives you a huge edge in your ability to stay committed to them because you are all in it to win it. But I want to talk about a couple of other things that will help you maintain focus and build resilience. And this will lead into overcoming setbacks too. But let's talk for a second about maintaining focus and motivation. So one thing is, again, when you set your goals, when you think about building out a plan to achieve your dreams, you always have to ask yourself why you're setting the goal. If I'm going to stay committed, I've got to have a good why. But again, far too often we don't. Secondarily, be careful with these words and please take them for what I mean them to be. So just listen to me, hear me out here. But I believe some of the best opportunities for us to accomplish greatness happen on the back end of desperation. When we have no other choice but to succeed, we will often do whatever it takes to succeed. You know, this happens a lot when I coach entrepreneurs or people that are vying or desiring to become an entrepreneur. They're working for themselves or they're working for somebody else and they want to start a business. And oftentimes they'll say, well, you know, I have to build up a certain nest egg. I have to have a certain amount of money saved before I can go off on my own. And I'm like, okay, there's wisdom in that. If you lead a family, if you contribute to your family, it's wise to make sure that they're provided for. Don't hang your family out to dry simply because you have a dream. At the same time, I believe that when we're backed into a corner, when we have no reserve, that there is a far greater chance that we're going to keep working hard in order to get to where we need to be. You see, that big reserve gives us a cushion. I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later. I've got some runway. I've got some leeway. But when you have none, you got to make it happen. And this was my business. When I started my business in November of 2011, my family, so I am the husband of a wife and 2 kids. I was the sole provider of my household. We had a mortgage, 2 car payments, credit cards at that time with some balances on them, a few other financial obligations. Plus we needed to eat. We needed to pay our utility bills. We had cell phones, right? All that good stuff. And when I committed with the blessing of my wife and a lot of prayer before the Lord, when I committed to starting my business, we had $500 of liquid money to our name. We did not have a 401k. We did not have a savings account. We had not been smart financially for a period of time leading up to that. And yet we had all of these bills. But with $500 to our name, we made it happen. We also had incredible support from our community. Financial resources were made available to us from friends and family in our church community. So that was not without help, for sure. But even taking that support from other people, receiving that support from other people, compelled me to want to work harder. If I would have had a big runway, it would have been easier for me to not push so hard. And so again, I'm not saying like be broke before you get started, but I am saying that if you're going to do something big, in some sense, burn the ships and make sure you don't have a way back. Be committed. Don't give yourself an out. That's a way to stay committed. Another thing is you want to continue to tie all of your goals, and this goes back to the aligned acronym. You want to go back to tying your goals to intrinsic motivation. This is the inspired part of aligned. Too often we set goals, we start pursuing our dreams, and we're often running, we hit a roadblock, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then we get frustrated. And so we start listening to more podcasts. We start following a motivational speaker. We start reading books to try and get ourselves excited and fired up. And you know as well as I do that those are temporal inspirations and motivations at best. The greatest inspiration and motivation is what's already inside of us, our heart. God has given us a heart with deep desires to accomplish certain things, to be certain types of people. Use that. Use intrinsic motivation and be careful with external motivation, because, again, that will fail you. The intrinsic stuff just won't. Okay, so those are some simple tips for staying committed to your goals. Landing the plane. I want to talk about some methods for overcoming setbacks. So the first thing I want to talk about is when it comes to, I've talked about this in the past, we're going to be talking about this on a future in a future series, but when it comes to goal setting, when it comes to dream achieving, I like to follow my good friend that I never met personally, but have spent a lot of time with, Stephen Covey. And Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. That's one of his 7 habits of highly effective people, which, by the way, if you've never heard me say it before, I believe it's one of the best books on personal and professional development that has ever existed. And if you have not read it and you are an entrepreneur, you're a business leader, you want to be a high performer in any area of business, you have to read that book. So anyway, he says, begin with the end in mind. And his idea there is if we're going to take a step forward, we need to know where we're going. We can't just aimlessly start off in some direction. We can't just say, I want to make $350,000 next year, and so I'm just going to get started. I hear this a lot on social media, by the way. I really haven't been doing a lot on social media, and someone's like, just get started, just start posting. That's such a terrible idea. I get the concept, like it's better to do something than nothing to some degree, but we end up walking aimlessly when we do that. So my encouragement to you is to reverse engineer the process. What do you want to accomplish, and what's it going to take to accomplish that goal? If you begin with the end in mind, you can plan for setbacks before they happen. Another opportunity here is if you plan in collaboration with others through a mastermind, working with a coach, a mentor, somebody that has done this before, they can help you to project potential setbacks before they occur so you can plan for them. You may not be able to avoid them still, but you can prepare for them so you know how to better deal with them when they happen. But again, you have to be prepared. Because if not, you're going to get slapped in the face and you ain't going to know what to do about it. Mike Tyson's Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face idea, right? It's going to happen. Plan to get punched in the face and know how to deal with it. You're going to have a far better chance of overcoming that punch when it happens. Other things to think about is you need to work on your own self-awareness. Where do you typically fail, falter, and or struggle? Do you struggle with consistency? Do you struggle with administration? Do you struggle with follow-through? Do you struggle with getting started? Do you struggle with reaching out to potential clients? Do you struggle with staying on task? What is it that you struggle with? Become aware of that, develop that, and you'll have a far better chance of staying consistent when that setback comes, which is just really you getting in the way of you, right? It's going to happen. Another thing, this is more to time management and productivity, which we talk about a lot, but if you're going to plan to achieve a goal or a dream, block out time regularly to work on achieving or accomplishing that dream. And treat that time just as you would the most important meeting on your calendar with your best client or with a top prospect. You wouldn't cancel those. You wouldn't overrun those. You wouldn't reschedule those unless you had an urgent meeting. I mean, an emergency. You wouldn't cancel those things. So plan your day, plan your time, plan your strategy, execute, and don't let anything get in its way, because it's going to happen. Another thing that will help you to overcome setbacks is learn to tell yourself the truth. Go back many sessions of this series, and we talked about this a lot, but it's important that we learn to tell each other the truth, or to tell ourselves the truth. And it's important that we learn how to get logical when we veer into illogical. What do I mean by that? So typically when we start to struggle, when we start to fail, when we start to feel some sense of a setback happening, we start to tell ourselves all kinds of stories about why we're in that position. And many times they're illogical and irrational. They're real feelings, but they are illogical. And you need to have the tools necessary to bring yourself back to reality. And one of those tools is to be able to tell yourself the truth, to reflect on the truths of the situation, to be able to speak to the chain of events, to get yourself back on the ground so you can continue to move forward, even if it's a little bit more challenging during that moment or season. So again, it's incredibly important that we have equipped ourselves with the tools necessary to overcome what is bound to happen. Too many of us fail to plan for setbacks, and so we have planned to fail. My encouragement to you there is to work on that with somebody else. Go through a self-assessment exercise to understand where you're strong, where you're weak, where you're probably going to falter, and then work with somebody else to build up those strengths. Again, this is something that we do in our community. This is something I do in private one-to-one coaching with my clients. Whatever it takes for you, I would encourage you to practice the art of building resilience and overcoming setbacks. Practice scenarios, role play through them, talk about as many what ifs as you can. We don't want to live in a world of what ifs, but we need to plan in the event that what if may happen and be ready to attack it when it does. So again, it's important that we have a good strategy for setting these goals in order to achieve our dreams. That strategy, I believe, is an aligned one. 2, we have to figure out how to stay committed to the goals, which often is going to be following that aligned strategy. But also, again, figuring out where our motivation and focus comes from. And then finally, we talked about methods for overcoming setbacks. They are going to happen, so we need to prepare and plan for them accordingly, to strengthen ourselves, to be more resilient, to have a more positive mindset in order to push through as the difficulties arise. So my encouragement to you as you step away from this session is to work on setting aligned goals. I believe that is the foundation for you to achieve your dreams. So work this week to set at least one aligned goal. What's one goal that you can set for yourself for 2024, or maybe for one of the last weeks of 2023, that you can create for yourself that's going to help you to improve at a 1% rate each and every day. So that thing compounds into an incredible accomplishment by the end of 2024. I hope these things have been helpful for you guys. This one here, the art of committing to and achieving your dreams, is so incredibly important. I see so many people with the most incredible dreams that falter because they don't know how to stay committed. If you need support, if you need help, jump into our community and share what you're working on. I would love to see some of you weigh in on what you're working on right now and what you could use prayer for, encouragement for, support for, maybe a call with somebody else in the community that will help to rally around you. If you need to engage with me, engage with us, please feel free to DM and reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to help you with that as well. Until next time, I pray that you continue to do everything you can to unlock the greatness that God has already put inside of you. Thank you guys so much. Have a great one.